Hello and welcome back to Mark's Garden UK at Rose Cottage near Nantwich in Cheshire. Now you may have noticed that since my little dog sadly passed away, I've posted less, and there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is I've been doing a little bit of travelling. I've been tied down with dogs for 20 plus years. So now that we've not got any dogs left, I decided to do a little bit of catching up with the travelling. And you turn your back for 2 minutes on your garden and you come home and things have changed. So in this video I'm going to give you a guided tour and an update on several of the little projects I've got on the go in the garden. I'm going to start off in the front garden at the cottage, looking at these amazing hydrangea Annabelles. These have been absolutely spectacular this year, and everyone that walks past loves them and comments, and it's wonderful, and I bathe in their reflected glory. My mum bought me these 3 plants last year. Last year was a learning curve for the Annabelles, because what happened was I forgot to support them in the wind, and they do need support. They're very top heavy and the branches are not particularly strong, and we get quite a bit of wind coming through here. So this year I didn't make the same mistake again, and I really did support them, and they've rewarded me. Now unfortunately they're coming to the end. I'm going to leave them. I'm going to see what happens to these beautiful lime white green blossoms as we go into winter. But the reason I think I got quite a good display this year was because in the spring I pruned them right back to the bottom, and I'll be doing that again next spring. All the growth that you see on these hydrangea Annabelles is from this year. So they've been wonderful. This was kind of a white garden at the front of the cottage. I've got some white agapanthus. They were to replace all the blue ones that I lost in that horrible winter that we had last year. But they've done really well, and they've got some seeds on them. I'm going to try and harvest those seeds this year and see if I can grow them from seed. I believe you can with agapanthus. So there we go. Little white garden. And then we have the parterre here, the formal parterre. Boxwood, a little bit of topiary, a nice little urn in the middle. And I've been very lucky because I've completely avoided box blight and boxwood caterpillar, but I'm ever vigilant, and I've always got my eye on this. I'm leaving it untrimmed because one of the things you do to prevent box blight is you allow ventilation through, and if you trim them too much, they become like a closed system, and it stops the ventilation getting through them. So I'm deliberately leaving this a little bit loose. So lovely. I mean, this parterre is a success story for me. It's very low maintenance. I have fed it once. I bought some box plant feed and I fed it once, and they're doing really well. I got these from a company called Best for Hedging online, and I'm very happy with them. I'll probably use the same company for the yew hedge, which I'm about to buy. Let's go around the side and have a look at the Mediterranean scented border, because that's been another big success for me. And here is the Mediterranean scented border. I've got thyme, lavender, rosemary. There's some little box plants in there for winter structure. I've also got my lollipop olive trees here, which sort of punctuate this border and give it some height. But for me, the biggest success story here has been the lavender. Around about 12 months ago when I planted this border out, the lavender were about the size of grapefruits, and now they're just enormous, about 1 metre across, and I've got all this wonderful blossom. And the bees, even now in early September, are feasting on the nectar in that blossom. I'm going to leave it as it is for a few more weeks, and then I'm looking for ideas. What do I do with all that blossom? I have posted a separate video on that, asking that question. If you've got any ideas, please search that video out and give me them, because I'll do another video fulfilling those ideas when I decide what to do with all this amazing lavender blossom. What's really nice about this is you do get the sound of the insects. You can see them feasting on the nectar, but also as you walk past it, brushing along, all the essential oils drift up into the air, especially when it's in the sun. Now you can see a shadow has just come, the sun's just gone over. The sun comes up over there and sets over there, so half the time this border is in the shade, but in the sunlight you can stand here and just be drenched in those wonderful aromas. I'm going to take you around the back now to have a quick look at the exotic tropical border. Because when you turn your back on that for 2 minutes, you come back, you don't recognise it. Let's go and have a look. And here is the exotic tropical border. I'm astonished with how well this has done this year, but I think I know the reason, and I'm going to share that reason with you in a minute. But for now, I'm going to get hold of the camera and go handheld and give you a bit of a close-up on some of what I think are the real highlights in this small but very, very impactful exotic tropical border. Whilst I'm still stood here, just for scale, I'm 6 foot tall. That's a canna. It's not stopped growing yet, and it's already touching 8 foot. Absolutely incredible. Let me get the camera and give you a closer look. One of 2 tetrapanax there. Some more of those beautiful cannas. And then in the back here, we have bananas. Musa basjoo, the green banana. They've been left in there all winter. I will tell you my secret, which I think has made this border do incredibly well. But down there, in the undergrowth, we have, I think I counted 10 little pups of Musa basjoo. So these will just grow and grow and grow and grow up, and they're in a lovely sheltered position, sheltered from the wind, and also near these walls which absorb heat and then emit it at night. So we've got a little microclimate going on in there. Well, look at that there. That's a different type of canna to that one, but isn't it stunning and exquisite? Can you believe the colour on that? Down here we have a ginger that's flowering. Look at that, beautiful. And that was one plant, but it's now turned into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ginger plants. Pink china, colocasia, pink china there, can you see? Lovely. Again, that's got several pups in the undergrowth. So we've got several little pink chinas there. We'll move round a little bit towards the left. There's a tree fern there, just tucked away in the corner. That there is an escalenta. Now, it was my intention to sell escalenta this year, colocasia escalenta, but unfortunately I did what you're supposed to do, and I dug them all up and dried them all out, but we had such a cold winter they died. That one there was left in the ground, and it's the only one that survived. That's another type of ginger there that you can see. Those are those beautiful cannas. Musifolia. They're grown for the leaves, that's why they're called musifolia. We've got a little pan face in the back there, look, can you see, peeping through? And there's another one in the back there. Wonderful. Another tetrapanax. Look at that. Now these you've got to be careful with, because that's a huge plant in its own right, but already a metre away it's given us a baby. Can you see down there underneath? So you've got to be careful, because they can be quite invasive. Let's have a quick look at the tree ferns. All our tree ferns have survived the winter. I do protect them in the winter, and then feed them and water them regularly throughout the summer. But this is how my little sort of shady green garden. Now, when I was in Singapore recently, I saw an idea for what to do with these trunks, and it involves making a little pocket with coir, mat, and planting a fern on there. So I'm going to do that. I've got the ferns down there and waiting in the wings. So very soon I'll be doing a video on planting ferns onto the trunks of tree ferns. Right, I think we need to go and have a quick look at the asparagus, because that again has blown me away. I bought some reduced asparagus. I put 4 inches of manure on it just before I went on holiday, and it's just exploded. Let's go and have a look. Now the asparagus is here in this metal raised bed, and that's good because asparagus can put roots down 1 metre, and I'm sure you've all heard how to look after asparagus, and there's a couple of videos on my channel. Learning curve for me, because I've learnt everything that I've spoken about this year about asparagus. I bought these crowns in the reduced section of a garden centre. You plant them in January. You don't harvest them in year 1. You let them grow, you let the roots establish, and then in year 2 you can harvest them. Before I went away, I put 4 inches of manure on this. I'll bring the camera in so you can see what's happened in the 2 weeks that I've been away. So I put a lovely dense mulch of manure. It wasn't well rotted, it was just off the top of the pile, so it's quite fresh. It's not in contact with the roots. But having put that on there and gone away, this was the result. As if from nowhere, it's like Jack and the Beanstalk. Look at that. And that. And over here on the third one, there are 2 new ones and a third one coming through there. The temptation is to cut that off and taste it, but you don't. You must resist temptation in year 1. Let this grow. Let all that plant feed the roots, and then you can harvest them next year. So there we go, a lovely success story in my Vigega metal raised bed. Let's go and have a look at the wildflower meadow next to the wildlife pond. Again, another little success story which I'm quite pleased with. Oh, look there, look. Damsons, thousands of damsons. What am I going to do with those? There's a video waiting to happen. So here is the wildlife pond. I'm walking behind it to give you an idea of the scale. It's 6 metres across. It's about 1 metre deep. I've done this in advance of next year. And next year I hope to get frogs and toads and newts. And you'll remember, if you followed my channel, that pondkeeper.co.uk were very, very helpful and supportive. So if ever you're looking at doing a project like this, have a look at pondkeeper.co.uk. For me, they've been a brilliant resource. Anyway, back to the pond. It's really starting to feel established. All the edges are blending in with this lovely green mat of a mixture of kind of duckweed and other oxygenating plants. And I hope that that will creep out and cover a lot of the water's surface to stop the light from penetrating, because it's that light penetration that will cause the water to go green. And incidentally, I found an interesting fact about that. Frogs, toads, newts are attracted to ponds by the smell in the springtime, and it's the imbalance, the water going slightly stagnant or getting slightly rich with the greenness. They can smell that and they're attracted to it. That's what brings frogs, toads and newts to your pond in the spring. Over here, buddleia, butterfly bushes, they've all gone over. I had an amazing display of buddleia's flowers, and they really do attract the butterflies. Down there, there's a log pile. Underneath that log pile, there's a hydrangea, which is an underground chamber full of pots and crocks and rocks and covered in roofing felt, and then buried with a drainage pipe going into it. And that's for creatures to go into and hibernate for the winter. You can see videos on all these things on my channel. Just search log pile, just search hydrangea, just search how to prune buddleia. There's everything's on my channel about this area. Over here to my right, your left of screen, is the wildflower meadow. Now, look at the amount of blooms in there, considering that that was 2 small boxes of wildflower seeds. And again, you can see a video on it on my channel, but essentially what you do is you put it into quite impoverished soil, not rich, fertile soil. Wildflower seeds do best in very impoverished soil. And as I'm speaking, I'll be showing you some close-ups of these beautiful flowers. This area, this corner of the garden, has been absolutely swimming with pollinating insects, and that's why I did it. And up there, up in the sky, I've got a collection of sunflowers. I planted 3 different sites of sunflowers up there. They've all come up, and I will stake them for support against the wind in the winter time. They will stay there all winter. That's food for native birds in the winter. All these flowers will be left throughout the winter, and they will drop seeds and reseed, and we'll go into that cycle again. Over there to my far right, what looks like an untidy mess, and it is an untidy mess, is deliberately an untidy mess, because that is what I call a scrub pile. I basically just throw everything on there: twigs, trees, soil, anything that's in the garden that the garden produces, it kind of goes on there. And it's a little environment for wildlife. For a wildlife garden, you don't want to be too tidy, and that's why I've left that messy. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. The water lilies have done incredibly well in the wildlife pond. One job I need to do is move them slightly deeper, which will involve me wading in there at some point, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to sneak back round this way so that I don't go off camera and out of shot. I'm going to take you over to the holly hedge, hardwood holly cuttings that I did at the back end of next year. I do apologise, I meant to say the back end of last year, of course. I did this last October, we're now into September. I did about 65, about 32 have survived, so one of the learning points from taking hardwood holly cuttings is kind of bargain on a 50% success rate. There's other things that I learned from that holly hedge experiment, and I'll share those in a video soon. But whilst I'm down here underneath the apple tree, which is producing dozens and dozens of wonderful cooking apples, I did another wildflower meadow, and that's done equally well. Beautiful sunflowers and a dozen different variety of flowers. So there we go, a bit of an update. This is going to be a real garden. Looks an untidy mess. I'm sure my neighbours that walk past are wondering what's going on, but that is going to be a long, narrow canal water feature. And this is going to be probably, I've not settled yet on this idea, but I think this is going to be like an arid garden with agaves and phormiums and grasses covered in gravel and big rocks. But again, that's probably back end of this year, next year now. We're going to visit one more area before I finish this tour, and that is, I want to show you the olive trees I rescued and where they're at, and also give you a quick update on the Goldfish Pond which I'm making. So here we have a bay tree that I rescued and another bay tree that I rescued. Watch the video if you want to know what I did, but they're both coming back good and strong. And here, 3 olive trees which had a really severe prune, and all of them have rewarded me with beautiful fresh growth. That one there, I set the objective of trying to kill it. I cut every single leaf off but one, and it's still come back. Olive trees are a lot hardier than we think. I think we get a little bit precious about them, and rightly so, because they're not inexpensive. But these have been quite badly abused, and they've all come back. What they do want is well-drained soil. The Goldfish Pond over here. Now this was supposed to be my big summer project, and as I've already mentioned, pondkeeper.co.uk actually gave me a solar powered pond pump, and it works brilliantly. But when our dog died, Simba, he was the last dog, and I've already mentioned, I don't want to go on about it, but we decided to catch up on travelling, so the Goldfish Pond has been on the back burner, but it isn't abandoned. I'll be coming back to this very, very soon. I've got a few concerns. I found some foundations underneath there, and also there's a great big brick wall here, and I don't want to be digging a hole down there and have that collapse on me, so I'm thinking about it, and that's what I do. I set an idea in motion in my brain, and then I go to sleep on it and think about it, and I'll come up with a solution. It might well involve putting a plank across and just securing it back. I don't want to get squashed, but that will be, and I know it looks an untidy mess at the moment, that will be a very formal, rectangular goldfish pond. I'm having a goldfish pond here because I don't want to put fish in my wildlife pond, because they will eat the eggs of the frogs, the toads and the newts that I'm trying to encourage and have multiply in this area. So there we go. At the back of that wall, got some huge gunneras there for a bog garden. Thousands of ideas in this garden. I'll be able to make videos for the next 10 years and still not run out of subject matter. Hope you enjoyed that little tour. Please do subscribe, hit the notifications bell, like, share, comment below, and I'll see you soon for some more gardening adventures. Bye for now.